All right, let's dive into one of the great American classics, Mark Twain's The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. Now, this isn't just some simple story about a boy's adventures. Oh no, it is a brilliant, sharp-witted look at youth, at rebellion, and maybe most importantly, at the very strange world of adults. So, let's get into it. So, here's our game plan. We're going to trace Tom's wild journey. First, we'll meet our mischievous hero. Then we'll see how he turns trouble into an art form, get into a pretty dark secret he uncovers in a graveyard, and even follow him on his little stint as a pirate. From there, we'll watch his courage get put to the ultimate test, and we'll wrap it all up by looking at the incredible satire Mark Twain weaves through this whole story. Okay, so our story kicks off in this sleepy, fictional town on the Mississippi River called St. Petersburg. Now, this is a place that has some very clear ideas about how a good, respectable boy should act. And right at the center of all that, we find our main guy, Tom, who is pretty much the exact opposite of that ideal. You know, his poor, long-suffering Aunt Polly just nails his character perfectly right here. She says, "He never plays them alike 2 days, and how is a body to know what's coming?" See, Tom isn't a bad kid, not really. He's just, well, he's creatively disobedient. This quote just sums him up. Clever, totally unpredictable, and somehow always one step ahead of the grown-ups. And this, right here, gets to the real heart of the novel's conflict. On one side, you've got the model boy. You know the type, quiet, obedient, the kid that all the adults just love. Tom, as the book says, absolutely loathed him. And on the other side, you've got Tom Sawyer, bursting with these adventurous, troublesome ways. It's a classic showdown between conforming to society and chasing that spirit of freedom. Now, Tom's real genius isn't just in his knack for finding trouble, it's how he gets out of it. I mean, his defining characteristic is this amazing ability he has to kind of manipulate the world around him. Not because he's mean, but because he just has this uncanny understanding of how people think. And the legendary fence whitewashing scene? It's the perfect example. He's facing this awful, boring chore. Does he complain? Nope. He pulls off this brilliant psychological trick. First, he reframes the job not as work, but as this amazing artistic opportunity. Then, he acts so into it that he actually refuses help, making it seem super exclusive. And the final move? He reluctantly lets the other boys pay him for the chance to do his punishment. It's pure genius. And look, this is about so much more than just getting a fence painted for free. Tom literally turns his labor into capital. He ends up with this little hoard of boy treasures, apple cores, marbles, the whole shebang. And what does he do? He trades it all for enough Sunday school tickets to win a Bible. This absolutely stuns everyone because they all know he hasn't memorized a single verse. It's really Twain's first big poke at a world where just the appearance of being good is what gets you the prize. But in classic Tom Sawyer fashion, just as he's enjoying his moment of glory, he gets completely blindsided by the sight of the new girl, Becky Thatcher. It's such a perfect snapshot of how impulsive kids are. All his worldly success is just forgotten in an instant. And this sets the stage for a totally new kind of adventure, romance. So, Tom's world of playful tricks and puppy love is about to take a really dark, really serious turn. He and his friend, Huck Finn, the town outcast, decide to have a little midnight adventure. But they end up witnessing a crime that just shatters their innocence and yanks them right into the corrupt, dangerous world of adults. So here's what goes down. Late one night in the cemetery, they see Dr. Robinson arguing with two guys he hired to rob a grave. There's Muff Potter, the town drunk, and then there's the truly menacing Injun Joe. The fight gets violent. Potter gets knocked unconscious, and Injun Joe uses that moment to grab Potter's knife and kill the doctor. The boys are terrified. They run for their lives and swear a blood oath never to tell anyone because they're positive Injun Joe will come after them. And just like that, Tom is burdened with this awful secret and a major crisis of conscience. So now, Tom's feeling misunderstood by Becky, and he's just crushed by the weight of this secret he's carrying. He decides he has to escape. And, well, for a boy who's read as many adventure stories as Tom, there's really only one logical solution: run away and become a pirate. I mean, this quote from the book just captures his mindset perfectly. It's so wonderfully dramatic. He's so deep in this romantic, youthful despair that he wishes he could only die temporarily. It really shows you how Tom's imagination works. He sees his own life playing out like one of the dramatic books he's always reading. So, what's the answer to a broken heart and crushing guilt? Obviously,
You become Tom Sawyer, the Black Avenger of the Spanish Main. He convinces his friends Joe Harper and Huck Finn to run away with him to a deserted island and live as pirates. But their great escape takes a crazy turn when the whole town starts to think that they've actually drowned in the river.
And this moment right here, this is the absolute peak of their adventure. It's the ultimate boyhood fantasy, right? The boys actually sneak back into town and hide up in the church balcony to watch their own funeral. They get to sit there and listen with total satisfaction as the entire town mourns them and says all these wonderful things about them. When the boys make their grand, dramatic return, Tom becomes an even bigger hero than before. But that doesn't solve his real problem. His conscience about the murder is just eating him alive, especially since poor, innocent Muff Potter is the one who got blamed. Tom is forced to make a terrible choice. Keep quiet and stay safe, or speak up and do what he knows is right. And this is the question that's at the very heart of Tom's growth as a character. What does a real hero do when an innocent man's life is at stake, but telling the truth could very well cost you your own? Well, during Muff Potter's trial, Tom finally finds the courage to overcome his fear of Injun Joe, and he makes his decision. In front of a packed courtroom, Tom gets on the stand, and he tells the whole, unvarnished truth about what he saw in that graveyard. He points the finger at Injun Joe as the real murderer, who then makes this incredible, dramatic escape right through a courtroom window. In that moment, Tom becomes a hero, but also a marked man. This is his biggest moral test, and by risking his life to save an innocent person, he takes a huge step toward becoming a man. This really shows you how much his character is changing, how much he's evolving. He's not just capable of big, public acts of heroism anymore. He also shows this quieter, more personal kind of courage. When Becky Thatcher accidentally rips a page in the schoolmaster's prized book, Tom steps up, takes the blame, and endures a brutal whipping for her. He's learning about empathy, about sacrifice. So the climax of the book brings all of this together. During a town picnic, Tom and Becky wander off and get hopelessly lost in this huge, maze-like cave. They're deep inside, they're terrified, they're starving, and Tom not only shows incredible resourcefulness by finding a way out and saving both their lives, but he also has a terrifying run-in with the one other person hiding in that cave, the fugitive, Injun Joe. This whole ordeal is his final trial, and it completely solidifies his status as a true hero. But here's the thing about The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It's so much more than just a thrilling adventure story. Twain is using Tom's story as a way to deliver this sharp, hilarious critique of the adult society he's growing up in. Yeah, through Tom's innocent but also very skeptical eyes, Twain just has a field day poking fun at the institutions of his time. You see it in the religious hypocrisy of the Sunday school, where it's more important to look pious by winning a Bible than to actually have faith. He makes fun of the absurd social rules, like how everyone desperately shows off when Judge Thatcher comes to town. The education system, with all its rote memorization and cruel punishment, gets totally roasted during the examination day scene. And he even gently mocks the over-the-top romanticism that fuels all of Tom's and his friends' wild fantasies. So what's Mark Twain really doing here? He's using satire. He's using humor, irony, and exaggeration to expose how foolish and hypocritical the adult world can be. Tom's adventures are just the perfect vehicle for it all, making his social commentary not just deep and profound, but also incredibly entertaining. Which, of course, brings us to the final question, the one that kind of lingers after you finish the book. Is Tom's world, this world of rebellion against phony rules, this reliance on imagination, this deep-seated skepticism toward adult authority, is that really just a thing of the past? Or does that same spirit still live on today? I think that question is what gives this novel its timeless power, inviting every one of us to see a little bit of Tom Sawyer in our own struggles against just conforming.